This episode of Bullet Heaven was made possible by Witchbeam. What do you get when you combine top-down run-and-gunning with anime-inspired character design, 4-player action, and a shiny coat of PC-powered supergloss? We might just have the answer somewhere in this Australian early access built indie title.
Witchbeam's Assault Android Cactus is pretty much just that, and it packs all kinds of awesome gameplay elements into its design. So, what makes Assault Android Cactus a game that you should be looking into? Let's take a closer look.
Battery here.
If it's hardcore action you're looking for, Assault Android Cactus is just what you need. After a quick tutorial stage, players are dropped into wave after wave of enemy robots. Each stage is a fiery sink-or-swim gauntlet, each more difficult than the last, but players can choose from a variety of androids, each with their own main and secondary fire modes.
Controlling your android is simple. Left analog for movement, right for aim, and firing handled by the right trigger. Switching to secondary fire is as simple as pressing the left trigger, and that's pretty much all there is to it on the control front. Despite each android sporting identical controls for the most part, since each has such vastly different abilities, they still feel very fresh.
Of course, there's more to the gameplay than the simple control scheme. Each android can power up their primary fire by collecting white orbs dropped from fallen enemies. When firepower reaches its maximum level, the odds shift greatly in the favor of the player, even with huge swarms of enemy robots flooding the screen.
Care should still be taken though. At the top of the screen, your android's life bar is displayed, which will decrease as she is hit. When the life bar reaches 0, she'll fall and it'll be up to the player to rapidly tap the A button or primary fire trigger to get her back up, which will knock surrounding enemies back. However, her firepower will also be reduced to base strength.
Your android's life isn't all that needs careful monitoring. A large central battery icon will slowly deplete as the game progresses. If this battery reaches 0 power, it's game over. Charging it back up is as simple as picking up a battery icon, which is dropped at certain intervals through enemy destruction. While it won't recover a full battery, it will definitely boost it up to a point where additional pickups can fully charge it once again.
Speaking of pickups, every now and again a special ability will be dropped for an android to collect. These pickups will cycle between 3 different special abilities. Yellow for enhanced speed, red for enhanced firepower, and blue for an EMP shutdown, which cripples all enemies in a specific radius for a short amount of time. Several of these will appear in every stage, including boss stages, and can be strategically cycled and obtained as needed.
Assault Android Cactus is played over the course of 25 stages in total, including 5 boss stages. With each one lasting a decent amount of time, there's certainly a lot to do here, and with several unlockable androids and EX modes, all kinds of replay exists, and that's not even taking multiplayer into account. Up to 4 players can play simultaneously, making for the kind of chaotic bliss that should satisfy anyone with a love for turning robots into hole-filled scrap. The game even auto-adjusts the number of enemies to make it more challenging in the multiplayer mode. It's even semi-competitive, with the highest scorer bearing a crown as long as they're ahead.
Playing through the campaign mode can be a bit of a long haul. Thankfully, players' progress is saved as each stage is cleared so they can pick up where they left off later. But as if the main game weren't enough, challenge modes in the form of Boss Rush, Daily Drive, and Infinite Drive are available to see how far players can get versus the game's bosses or infinite opposition. All in all, a great package with fun gameplay for one or many.
Given that Assault Android Cactus takes place over the course of many individual stages, the score is handled a bit differently than usual. Each stage has its own score, as we've seen before in large stage number games such as Bang.io. In addition to a number score, a letter rank is also applied to each stage completed, from D to the highest rank, S+.
Getting your score up will primarily be through enemy destruction and chain bonuses. Chaining is pretty simple. It will climb as enemies are destroyed and a multiplier will grow to a maximum of 10 while this happens. If the circular gauge around the chain number depletes before another enemy is killed, the chain is then interrupted and the applied multiplier is nullified.
Killing off enemy waves smoothly from one to the next will obviously help in keeping the multiplier up there. The chain will also be broken if your android is knocked down, so staying alive as long as possible will help in getting the best scores in any given stage, as will picking up as many white pickups as possible.
At the end of each stage, the time taken to complete it will also be factored into a stage end bonus. A stage handy recorded stage high score is displayed as well, which updates in real time if you beat it as usual. Taking your max chain, damage, and deaths into consideration, your letter grade is then applied. Based on all of this, credits are also collected which can be used to buy extras, like new visual effects or art gallery pieces.
These score mechanics apply mostly identically to the extra modes as well, with a couple of differences. The daily and infinite drive modes have a layer value that is tallied up at the end of the session. Online leaderboards are also present, which shows players how they stack up worldwide. Being a modern PC game that is meant to look and sound great with a decent PC setup, it's no surprise that Assault Android Cactus has a solid presentation. Don't have a superpowered PC? No problem. Even dual-core setups and low to mid-spec graphics cards will push Assault Android Cactus around nicely, even with the settings on the higher end of things.
Which brings us to the visuals. There sure is a lot going on here, and on the whole, everything is pretty easy to keep track of with enemy shots sticking out amongst the enemy and allied models on screen. However, especially in multiplayer, it can get really tough to keep track of where you happen to be. It can also get hard to judge exactly where enemy bullet trajectories will end up, where the screen tends to follow specific players while panning to keep everyone on screen. The stages are awesomely designed though, with all kinds of dynamic changes happening all the time.
That said, there is some really awesome visual polish on all of it. Anti-alias polygon graphics, high reflection textures, and great lighting effects really make Assault Android Cactus pop in all the right ways, complete with a high frame rate. Likewise, the mechanical and character design is top-notch. Compared to earlier early access versions of the games, it's like night and day. Cool backgrounds on the mission map have been added, and cool new graphical enhancements and touches are everywhere. An art gallery also exists with pieces that are unlocked via credits.
The sound has evolved quite a bit from Assault Android Cactus's earlier form as well, with snappy tunes and clear effects that make this game sound as good as it looks. There's nothing really that sets us on edge that isn't designed to do so, like the depleting battery sound, which adds a greater sense of urgency to the situation. As it should. A sound test and jukebox are also available for players to listen to all of the tunes and effects in the game.
The story here is as you'd expect, light, but the writing is pretty great overall. It's also context-specific to the character chosen, with different interactions between bosses and different androids. Multiplayer games have bosses only speak with the first player though, which is a bit of a missed opportunity. It's nothing that can't be added later though.
Assault Android Cactus is a game that fans of run-and-gunners, twin stickers, and well, fun games in general should be taking a very hard look at. But how does it stack up? Let's take a look.
Assault Android Cactus's controls are sharp, solid, and easy to grasp.
Multiplayer games can have players running into bullets more often than we'd like though.
The challenge on the single-player mode is great, with a more or less casual feeling difficulty curve.
The game really ramps up in multiplayer though.
With 25 stages, Assault Android Cactus's main campaign is lengthy and satisfying.
Multiplayer and additional modes add huge amounts of added gameplay and replayability.
Assault Android Cactus's visuals are simply awesome, especially on higher-powered rigs.
Players can get visually lost to the hordes of enemies in multiplayer though.
Great dynamic tunage provides the right tone for the whole game.
Fitting sound effects complement the great music.
As far as twin-stick shooters go, the 4-player gameplay and wide variety of androids makes Assault Android Cactus one of the best of its kind.
It may feel like just another twin sticker at first, but it all comes together to make something special.
Witchbeam definitely knows what's up. Assault Android Cactus is a game that feels more or less complete, even though drastic changes may still be in the works for its final release. Regardless, we can safely recommend it even in its current state. Assault Android Cactus gets 4.75 out of 5. You can get Assault Android Cactus on Steam Early Access today for about $15 US.